this generation. He is trying to destroy the next generation by damaging this one. And I started thinking about this, and I was like, let's see, how is this true? And the spirit of offense and hate towards Christians and other people of faith is really prominent nowadays. And us being Christians really just gotta pay attention to it and know that the grace and love of God never fails, right? So in Luke 8, verse 22 through the end of the chapter, Jesus was on a boat with his disciples, and he was going to a land across the lake. So he was traveling to the land across the lake. And when he landed, I'm sure you guys have heard this story, there was a man there who had over thousands upon thousands of demons inside of him. And he was demon-possessed. And he went up to Jesus and he said, please don't hurt me. And he was begging Jesus to not hurt him because he had demons inside of him. And Jesus asked, what's your name? He said, I am Legion. And Legion means, many demons that are in one person. So Jesus, sure enough, casted the demons out of this man and casted it into some pigs. And the pigs went crazy and jumped off a cliff into some water. It's a weird chapter. The long story short is that he was in this town, and in this town they all knew him as, oh, that's just a crazy guy who's demon possessed. They all knew him as, and they were all okay with it. They were like, oh yeah, that's a guy, he's eating some raw fish. He's a weirdo, he's demon possessed, he's biting himself, he's a weirdo, he's demon possessed, like they were used to him. So when Jesus had healed this man, he wasn't demon possessed anymore. And he was so happy. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen someone that's come out of that oppression or possession, but they can do nothing except smile and kind of look exhausted. So that's what he was doing. He was on Jesus' feet. He was exhausted. He was just kissing his feet. He was so happy. Then the people of the town came out of nowhere and kind of saw what was happening. It says in the Bible verse that it was a holy moment. And for a short time, the people were confused and they felt a little awkward and uncomfortable. And they eventually were so freaked out by this guy that they were persecuting Jesus and telling him to get away from their town, that they can't handle this guy acting normal. That they thought this guy, who was demon-possessed for so long, acting normal was the weirdest thing that they ever saw. And they blamed Jesus for it, and they basically kicked him out. They were scared, it says in the Bible. So this man who just got healed went up to Jesus and said, please, let me go with you. And Jesus just looked at him and said, you know what? No. Stay here. Go about this town and preach what I have done to you. Preach my message. Preach love. So that's what the man did. But I just thought it was interesting. I'm looking back at my notes here, and I thought it was so interesting how you would think it'd be opposite, right? If I'm normal, if I was foaming at the mouth and demon possessed, you guys would probably be freaked out. But for some reason, this town was more freaked out after he was healed than before. And that kind of made me think about this generation. As a generation, we live in a society today where teenagers are okay if you're smoking dope all the time, if you're doing hardcore drugs. They're okay with you doing that because that's what teenagers do. They're okay if you get drunk all the time because that's what teenagers do. They're okay if you have sex 24/7 because that's what teenagers do. But the moment you tell someone, hey, I'm a born-again Christian, can I bring you in my youth ministry? 5 steps back. What? They become uncomfortable. Once you tell someone, hey, I'm a born-again believer, I love Jesus Christ. I don't know if you guys have ever talked to somebody nowadays, but they get a little clammy. They feel like they're being judged, or they get a little passive-aggressive. That's just what happens nowadays. And I think that's so strange how when you're like, I'm the best I've ever been, I feel loved by God, they're like, who is this guy talking? He sounds crazy. But it's so interesting to see how that's happened nowadays, how people are okay when you're at your worst, when you're not okay when you're at your worst. But they just tell you, hey, it's okay, you're a teenager. But once you get out of that, they're like, wait, why have you changed? Why can't you smoke this bone with me, homie? Why can't you do this? What's going on? Oh, you're a Christian? Like, they get so offended, and that's happened to me several times. I'm sure it's happened to you guys. And what that does is, as Christians, we become scared then. We're like, I don't know if I should tell my friends that I'm a Christian. I don't know if I should tell them about my youth ministry, because then they're gonna be like, oh, that's just a Christian kid. But as Christians, we gotta learn to break the idea of comfortability. We can't comfortable with how things are. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not okay with the way I am right now. I think we all as Christians should feel uncomfortable all the time. Now, I don't mean you should look in the mirror and say, ugh, I feel gross. I feel nasty. But I mean you should feel uncomfortable in a sense where you don't ever want to stop. You don't ever want to say, okay, I reached my goal, now I'm done. Now I can just go to church with the boys, now I talk to one friend. Keep on going, and never stop feeling that awkwardness. You guys want to dare to share what's the motto? Awkward is awesome. So talk to your friends, say, you know what, I'm a born again believer. I don't know if you know that, but I go to this awesome youth ministry and just share the word. And just tell them straight up, and if they're offended, then just say, I'm telling you guys, love never fails. If you love someone and they're still offended, then that means they need more and more love. That's right. So I just been thinking about that. Why is this generation so whacked up? There's two reasons. We can't just blame unbelievers. We can't just say, well, I'm doing okay, I'm a Christian. It's a two-way street. The unbelievers are okay with being messed up, are okay with their faults. And the Christians are okay with being comfortable. The Christians are okay with not caring if their friends die and go to hell. We gotta be uncomfortable, guys. We can't just have a best friend that's been our friend for 10 years and, oh yeah, I never brought him to church once. You know, kind of like Caleb said last week, I don't really have a lot of friends who are unbelievers, but I realized I have a neighbor who's been my neighbor for almost 7 years now, and he's best friends with my brother for a long time. And I was like, you know what, let me just text this guy. I sent him like a 4-page text, like this, and that, we have this event. And he was like, whoa, okay. Sure, I'll check it out. I got a text him. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure he said he wants to come next week to our kickoff of summer, which is crazy. I mean, I've known him for 7 years, but it felt uncomfortable, it felt weird, but after it felt great. Why? Because, sorry, I'm going back to this almost done, but when things get uncomfortable in Christianity, that's when the holy moment occurs. That's when God comes in and reaches you with his holy presence. When you feel right now like oh man, that regards me, I barely talk to my friends, that's good. That means you're realizing that you can improve, and that means you're going to seek improvement, that means you're going to seek God. So right now, our next song is Holy Moment. And I want everybody just to put your hands up, reach out to God and say, you know what, God, I may feel a little weird right now that my hands are up, but God, I want to be better. I want to reach my friends. So Lord, I pray today over these teens, over myself, that we just break this idea of uncomfortable. We break this idea of comfortability, that we can become uncomfortable with our Christianity and therefore never stopping, never ceasing, never getting comfortable with who we are. Therefore, the devil is always on his toes, always worried about what we're doing, and that's what we got to do as Christians. This generation